Good day everyone, and welcome to my YouTube channel. I'll just be sharing short daily analysis from time to time, and from time to time on the weekends I'll share the analysis that I do myself for the week ahead. So all this channel is just to share how I see the markets. It could potentially help you. It does not constitute any financial advice, strictly for educational purposes, but you might be able to learn something, or you might find value, you may not, who knows. It's not for everybody. For those of you that know me, I used to teach to call entry calls and so forth, but I found that just wasn't for me, man. Too stressful. So I thought, how could I find a way to kind of still do these little educational videos without all the stress of really dealing with people. So I thought I would just have a one-way channel where I just put out what I see. It's for free. There's nothing attached to it. It's just that I found that when I was teaching, I was a lot more sharper, as in I was daily, as I was analyzing the charts and teaching others, I would remind myself of things I might have forgotten or the rest of the stuff. So I was always, on it. These last several months, I've just been trading on my own. Obviously did really well, but I just want to get back into it because I'd like to stay sharp, and I think that we might potentially see this thing come to an end soon. And I'll show you guys why I think so. It could all fall apart. We could just continue falling, but I think we might see a bottom soon, have another rally, and then possibly after that a much bigger crash, but we'll have to see. For now, I'm seeing that we might get another potential fall, either to test the bottom, this last bottom, or to breach it, and then a rally. So yeah, without any further ado, let me just go into what I'm seeing here. And if you know me, you would know that I pretty much focus primarily on NASDAQ, as it's quite predictable, quite easy. And as we go on, you will notice that I make use of a lot of trend channels to find support, resistance areas, entry points, exit points, etc. I'm not going to go over the whole strategies at once. Like before, it's just easier if you learn as we go. So yeah, I might be a little rusty, so forgive me. Let me just get back into the flow. But yeah, let's see what we're looking at this market. So as you guys can see, we have, let me just hide this real quick, this channel over here where we have a low, support, and the Corona crash support. This is the low from the 2008 crash, Corona crash, pushed up to this top. If we look at this channel like this, let me show you. Oops. It pretty much had a fall and then stayed in this little channel here, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, right? So this is part of what we look for, but you see the channel has been extended with as high as here, up here, so that's why I moved the top of the channel up there. There we go. So as you guys can see, when we flow in these channels, because like you can get it on the bigger channels, larger time frames, and then these smaller ones inside of channels, etc. But for just pointing out where I'm seeing this thing falling out to. I'm going to be using this channel, right? So I'll go over why I think we might get a turnaround soon. But I'm first going to go through where I think it's going to drop to, and then I'll say why I think it might drop to there, right? So we have this channel, we have this bottom here, 2008 crash, Corona crash, right? So support. What I want to do now is just take this channel off, because I want to try and keep this chart as simple as possible. Right? As you guys can see, we're right on that area, U-turn area, right? Let's go down to the weekly. Let me just clean this up a little bit. Support. Now, as you can see, we didn't quite come back down here. It just, just barely touched that area. So what we have here right now is this trend line of support. We closed there, but not quite. Then I want to take the Fibonacci retracement tool, right, from this low to this high, and so far you can see our 61.8 area just got tapped, right? So I don't think, obviously the buyers came in strong, they're showing some show of strength, but now what I'm looking for is a potential to come and form a double bottom on here. So now we know this trend line goes all the way back there. We have the 61.8 Fibonacci area, right? I want to look at another area of potential support, and that's if we draw a trend line on this inner support here, right? Go to the weekly. Let's just clean this up a little bit. This here is not going to be 100% perfect, but we can get it nice and neat. So what do we have here as well? We have support, The Corona crash happened, self-imposed shutdown of the economy, right? Squeeze just a little through that, giving us another low, but close back above this area. So this area should not be ignored, because we have more touches than these two. But now together, they come together beautifully in this area that we are looking at here. So this 10,400, 10,500, 10,400, right? Now there is the potential that we could squeeze a little bit through. Everybody think it's over, and then fakes us out, like what would you call it, a bear trap, and then rallies. That could happen. Or if it does break and it stays below, we'll have a completely different problem, and we could, head down. But until that happens, this is my area of interest that I'm going to be looking for further confluences. So we have these strong levels of support at this area, right? I'm going to delete this one for now, because I don't want there to be too many lines on the chart. Delete these real quick. Let's go to the daily. And what do we have? We have this channel that we've been traveling down this whole year. So you can see in a similar way, now, like I say, if it breaks this, we could have another issue, but that's where we should keep our attention on for now. So okay, I'm going to just throw this level out here real quick because I want to delete this Fibonacci level. So I'll just throw this area of interest here, the support, and then just hide this Fib so that it doesn't look so busy. Right? So we have this support line, the other support line that I drew. Delete this. Keep this trend line here, and then this trend line of this resistance. So what we have now, we have support, shouldn't have deleted this, okay, support, lining up with our area over here, right? We have the 61.8 Fibonacci. Our golden pocket area is in this area over here. Then now we have this little area of support here, where we also have support. And if we extend it out this way, right, we also have the lower level, support, the inner level, support. So this area, this zone, is a support zone. You see as again on the lower level and then on the inside here. So in this area over here. What else do you guys see? Now we haven't quite broken this resistance level, right? Where we have resistance. This is the main, let's say the main downtrend, main resistance. But we've broken this resistance over here. Resistance, right? What happens when we break resistance? That resistance has the potential now to form support. So if we continue falling into this pocket area here, we'll have support from this previous resistance, potential support at previous support, and previous support at this major trend line. Two major trend lines. I'm not going to redraw that one now again. You guys know which one I'm talking about. Right? All lining up for us in this area. So now confluences are all adding up, right? Don't forget about our Fib retracement level from the corona low to the top, whole year downward trend, correction. Obviously the year was bearish, but the bullish structure is still intact, right? That we've been in now for the past, since the crash year, since 2009. This structure is still intact. Once this trend line gets broken, then it's a whole other story. But we're not there yet. I believe we have a 1 touch, a 2 touch, a 3rd touch, potentially the final touch, and I think we break this trend line, continue back to the top, and I think we might see end of 2023, beginning to mid 2024, a peak, and then all hell might break loose. Not saying it's definitely going to happen, it's just what I'm starting to see the potential being there, right? I'll just hide this verb again. So now our confluences are all lining up pretty nicely in this area over here, right? And then what else is important that we have to look at when it comes to this date here, 13th December to 14th December, right? What's the significance of that date, guys? The significance of that date is this: December 13 to 14 is the Fed rate decision, right? What's going to happen? By how much is the Fed going to hike again? Because they're not going to stop anytime soon, guys. What's happening now, it's getting a little too high for what the Fed is trying to do over there in the States, and that is to bring inflation and all these things down. Now they need this whole crash is almost like a controlled demolition, basically. They needed to come down with the policies, right? So with the inflation looking like it's peaking and other determining factors, we have this rally because there's a rumor that the Fed might pivot. They might start easing monetary policy at this next meeting, right? But who knows? They might. But this is going against them. So I think potentially we now get this push back down to that date, right? And I think potentially we could then, whatever the policy decision is then, we could see a rally. And then potentially break this major resistance line that we've been in this whole year and continue for the rest of the year. Either continue for the rest of next year, either finding resistance over here. Okay, let me not get messy. Let me try and keep this a little clean here. But what I'm saying is we could then see a rally back up to test those highs. We could maybe not even go that high, who knows? We might, why is this thing doing this? We might only get a higher low into the golden pocket area. And then maybe see another crash. We'll have to see when we get there, but for now, I think we still have a good chance of a rally from here, potentially to here. Then we could see what happens again. But if we break, then I think we could see some good returns. But I also think that the recession is coming, guys. Just not yet, because everyone is expecting it, and you know, it's not that wise to rely on like the news and these types of things, because they get it wrong all the time. And so I think we're gonna see some heartache, but the price action, what the charts are telling me is, I could be wrong, right? But I think we have a good chance of a once in a lifetime entry here, which could make millions. But we'll have to see once we get there. Now, do we actually get there? Right? Who knows? I think the probability is very likely. But a few things have to happen first. I think we could potentially, it's Thanksgiving in the States, right? So they had like Black Friday sales, Cyber Mondays, and all of that. We're not quite at this resistance level over here. We're forming a double top here. We are finding resistance at previous areas, right? So you can see here was a bit of resistance, support, resistance, right? But we do have the potential to squeeze. We just have a quick turnaround, squeeze out any sellers that could have come in and then have a sharp drop, who knows. Or, which I'm, because I want this thing to come down as soon as possible, man. So let's go smaller time frame. Let's start looking at the charts from here. Let me just clean up these trend lines. Right? Resistance, 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 resistance. Potential support now. We currently have this support here and this support here. Now we've broken this support. Now, what we do have here, right? Maybe a bigger time frame will make it cleaner. Is a potential double bottom. Bottom, neckline, bottom, break neckline, right? Resistance, resistance, support. We could bounce off there again and get another pop, is what I'm saying. But I think overall we are going to get another push down until that Fed meeting comes through and we know exactly what the Fed is planning on doing. Now that's the scenario I'm looking out for, right? But like I say, it could find support at this area and then maybe even push into the Fed meeting, right? Let's say it rallies before then and then the market gets disappointed. The Fed decide, no, here's a whole 100% price hike or whatever the case will be, and then we now see a plummet and then we might get something uglier, who knows. We use confluences in price action to see what's the best probability of something happening. Remember, nothing is for certain. That's why risk management is probably the most important aspect of your trading alongside your psychology, right? So I'm just going to continue doing these types of setups and showing these types of areas. And like I say, as you go, the more you start to pick up and to see what I'm talking about. So I think what I'll do is maybe I'll start like an Instagram page, or maybe just post like the stills of my charts. For instance, if I say resistance, 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 support, support, blah, 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 and then maybe say, okay, this is my area of interest. Right? And then post that on my Twitter account. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So I will link the Twitter page once I created it. I just had a sudden burst of inspiration and thought, let me, I like teaching. I just don't like dealing with actual people that often. Sorry guys, it's just how it is. So this is what I'm looking at. All those confluences in this area. So that's what I'm looking for. So why do I think we're going down? Well, if you look at, this is currently the regular setting, right? It's not the logarithmic charts. It's the regular charts. This is what I usually use, but in this instance, these larger time frames, you can see there's a bit of a better structure to find this bottom, whereas if we look at Nasdaq this way and we draw these trend lines to try and find support going forward, I'm not saying we could fall to here, we could, but I think the logarithmic chart is telling us something different, that this is an area we shouldn't ignore, right? So, where was I? Looking at the logarithmic chart and this channel, this downward channel that we've been in right now, right? Where are we right now? We at this low from the Corona fall crash. We have the last support level at the last low we had before this rally. We then came back down, broke support at this area, broke it, fell, came back, tested as resistance once, tested as resistance twice, reached it, closed back below third time, and right now we are also pushing down from there, right? Then we have, just take these arrows away so it's not so cluttered. This area over here, this high, trend line to this high, right? We formed support there, rejected off, resistance there, rejected off resistance there, and now we in this pocket of this resistance. So, to be honest with you guys, I did enter a little sell there. Also, I have my anchored VWAP, right? Now, I do use the anchored VWAP, guys. It's the anchored average weighted, what's it again? Anchored VWAP. Anchored value weighted average price. Yeah, that's what it stands for. I can't really explain it. I don't think I want to explain how this indicator works, but I think you can subscribe to a guy called Brian Shannon. Alpha Trends is his thing. He actually created this indicator, and he's got a cool channel. You guys can learn from him as well. So search him on YouTube, and he explains how the anchored VWAP works. I found it to be incredibly useful. Finding highs and lows. You normally just anchor them to important events, important highs. So you can see here, push the price down below. You can put right over here at this peak, and then you see kept on pushing the price below these areas. But you have to take a little bit of time to understand it. But if you look at it here, it adds to our confluences of this resistance here. From the low, support, 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 resistance, resistance, resistance. So small little entry there. We can add this Fibonacci from this little high here to this little low here. It pulled back. Let me do this. It pulled back into the 61.8, 78% area, our golden pocket area, and rejected. Right? So a lot of confluences if you are looking for a sell. I'm not particularly a seller. This year has actually forced me to because I only started trading like a few years ago, pretty much from like here, and all I really had was the bullish scenarios, and then this crazy event called Corona. But then again, just 2 years of feasting deliciously, right? So those of you that were in my group that I had previously, right, I taught the strategy of, let me actually just quickly make clear this chart here to give you guys an idea of why I'm looking for a bottom and why I think it's going to be really good for like a year or so. And if we catch it properly, right, we have the potential to get what we got last year, right? So after the Corona crash, where's this two now? After the Corona crash, right, what happened? We had a rally, and then the market started to settle a little bit, right, and found itself forming a bit of a channel. Now this is what I look for, guys. This has been my bread and butter for the last, I would say, 2 years, man. Because yeah, over here, we traded, tried, and all this happened, and then after this, it's just when things began to click. But the reason I show this is because this was our bread and butter for 2 years, and as you guys can see, what does the market do? It broke below here, found resistance, but then broke into a channel and formed support, up, down, up, down, up, down. Now, you guys see where I'm getting at now. Yeah. Right? Enter, take profits. New entry, next profit point. 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 Comes down again, buy again, rallies up, take profit, falls back down to the channel, buy again, and so on and so forth. And towards the end, it gets parabolic, breaks this structure. You know, at the time I thought, okay, now we're gonna now crash all the way down, right? But that was inexperienced talking. What instead happened was similar to what happened over here, right? We at first had the push and then kind of settled into a more relaxed, but even still this was crazy how it just kept on going. But after that bull run right there, right, I thought, you know, we would now crash back down to the bottom. What it instead did was, on a larger scale, settled a bit further, and what did it do? Created another channel. Very nice one for us to just feast off again, right? And what? Same ingredients, guys. Same thing. Bottom, top. Enter. You see, this is what I'm thinking is probably happening right now, right? We had the crash. Obviously, this is just much smaller time frame, but the structure is what I'm seeing. So we now here somewhere, then we're gonna get another pullback, and then a nice year rally, right? Who knows? Why am I getting sidetracked? I'm gonna show you guys what I mean. So this is how the cycle goes, right? Buy, take profit. Buy, take profit. Buy. Now this entry over here is easy peasy. Now we have the structure. What we start adding in our confluences and things. So I can now throw this resistance and this resistance level, right? So maybe not quite, maybe on a smaller time frame, if you had a trend line on this channel here and it broke out there. It doesn't come quite there, but okay. My point is, let's now say for instance over here, because I was also quite scared. I thought, nah, this thing broke this trend line here, so it's gonna continue just crashing, right? I did this here, rejected there, fell, rejected there again and fell, right? So let's now say you were too scared. This break over here, resistance, 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 this break and retest. You see, that's how you now start to look for entries, etc. But like I said, I'm getting a bit sidetracked here. Now once again, for another year, 2 years, we just feasted. Bottom, top, bottom, take profit, buy, take profit, buy, take profit, buy, take profit, buy. And this is why also risk management is important, because let's now say you buy here 2, 3, 4, 5. All those trades would have been correct, right? So now your ego starts playing with you. You get euphoria. You're like, nah, the structure is working. Everything is 100%. I'm going to put all my money I made now on this next one, right? It bounces initially. You're thinking it's going your way, and then boom. Years lost. Risk management. I tried to get it through the students of mine's head before, but it was rock and roll all the time. So this is the kind of structure I want to find again, guys, because this is beautiful, man. This makes the trading so simple. You work, right? Take your money, you go on a holiday. I used to say, all I want to see is money collecting in the corner, and then I just want to walk over and pick up my money and go. Right? So this is basically it. These are my corners. Obviously, along with other confluences, like for instance, what I tried to show over here, these were like entries that we entered, or that I entered these break. I mean, on the smaller time frames, it will be much clearer. But resistance, break of resistance, retest at the bottom of a channel. You can even then maybe take the Fibonacci from this low to this high, right? You have it in between the 50 to 61.8% retrace area. The trend line keeps it up. Wait for the retest, enter. Over here, you can pull this trend line again like this, where you find resistance over here. Bring it back down to this low, right? And what do you have? Take this away. You have support from the past, right? I'm trying to show you guys what we look for in the past and how I'm applying it to this current situation that we're in right now, right? Just on a much bigger scale. This was a channel within a channel within a channel. Now I'm showing you guys what I showed you guys just now over here, right? This channel is a 15-year, so just on a bigger scale. I'm looking for the same things like here, bottom, waiting for a counter trend line, break, retest. Same thing. What do we have? We have the bottom. If I draw in this trend line again, we have the bottom. So we are at this bottom. I want us to push down, or I believe from what the price action is telling me, we're going to get another leg down. Opportunity to buy, and if we break here, then I think we have a good year of up. So the reason I'm going through this here is to show you guys how it has played out in the past on smaller scales, because obviously once it bounces from here, we are then going to look for, you know, these inner channels like we did in the past, right? So once it starts like, because this is a major correction, and once it bounces off, and obviously I think we're first going to get a massive rally, and then it might settle and then form a little channel that we can then once again just comfortably trade until it decides to fall again, right? So if we take, let's say the fib again, yeah, that high, we could then find a GPS, a literal roadmap of where to buy, where to take profit, where to buy, where to take profit, where to buy, where to take profit, on the way up to potentially however high it might go. It might just go and form a double top here. It might not, might form a lower high, you know. But this is time to get rich here. You know what I'm saying? It might break, continue, get parabolic, like it did over here. Settle, continue, and then we might, or most likely, get the big crash. And once this trend line has been broken, then I think we're gonna enter a long-term bearish market, which might last 3, 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So this year for me itself was a very educational year for me, and despite it being me being a buyer in this market, the market was down the whole year. I mean, I made more money than I've made all the other years before that, so I didn't take this year for granted. I learned everything I could about this bear movement. Very same thing as what we did with these channels. As you can see, it's a bear channel down as well, so you can apply the same strategy the other way around. And that's what I intend on doing once this thing tops out eventually in a year or so. Because then for 2, 3, 4 years. Anyway, let's go back to this chart. So yeah, where was I? Bottom of the channel, right? Known U-turn area. So now this happens here. And we now want to see if we can get back in here again, add some more positions. So we have this trend line here as well, this resistance, breaks resistance. What does it usually come to? It comes back and tests that previous resistance as support. So now this resistance acts as support, plus the support from below the channel, bottom of the channel, where we've U-turned once, twice, 3, 4 times before, that all adding to those confluences. And then you can now add, what else do we have here? You look for divergences, right? So if I take, where's this tool? This vertical line here, and I put it at this low, right? Let's not make it dot, let's make it a straight line. Where does it line up? This low lines up down here with this low, right? If I throw another one on this low here, where we're looking for the entry, this area, what do we see? We see this low being lower than this low, right? But on your oscillator down here, let me just do this, you see that the lows that coincide here are the opposite. This is called divergence, guys. So lower low, higher low. Over here, higher low, lower low. That is a bullish sign, and it's happening on support, broken. So those are the things you add up in your arsenal to say, okay, this is a good entry, right? So those are the things that I'm looking for where I'm looking at right now, right? This area. So let me go back down. Let me put on these oscillators here. Let me delete some of the things that I do here. It's too busy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to end this thing soon. It's getting too long. I don't want to be too long. Right, so this area on the monthly, we're nice and oversold on the stochastic. We don't quite have divergence yet. No, I'm lying, we have massive divergence. Look at what happened to my image. Oh, I didn't have it here. You see this low is lower than the low we currently have. But over here, massive divergence on the, so this is stochastic and this is the RSI, same thing. Over here, this is the MFI, the money flow index. I like using that one as well. So this is where I look for divergences as well. So oversold conditions, divergences on major support, you add them up like that, right? So my confluence, I look for what's the trend, where's the support, do I have oversold conditions, do I have bullish divergence, do I see reversal patterns like a double bottom or like an inverse head and shoulders, etc. Those candle formations. Is it at a known U-turn area, for example, like this, down here, down here, down here? We add a known U-turn area because it's U-turn from that area many times before on a much larger time frame. So it should be more reliable. Nothing's 100%, guys. That's why risk management is there. But this opportunity is presenting itself to us now. So we'll have to see, you have to risk it to get the biscuit. The confluences are there. I'm going to look for more confluences on the smaller time frames when we actually get there, and then make my decision on how hard I want to go, etc. So I just want to show you guys more examples. Crap, sorry. Right, so like I explained over here, bottom of the blah blah blah, confluences, support, blah blah blah, same thing here. It's exactly what I'm looking for here. Right, we got to the bottom of the channel. We were in this the smaller downtrend here. We broke there, showing a show of strength by the bulls, right? So now we are likely to push down, likely to break this little trend line over here, right? Now, like I said before, we could push down, get another push up, and then get a drop. But I think at the end of the day, we're gonna see something, the market push down to this area at least. If we look at I don't trade the S&P 500. I do invest in it, like buying ETFs, etc. But I don't particularly trade it. But I do analyze it. So there's also, I think this thing has the potential to push to this trend line here. Now, it could push up and Nasdaq could just stay stagnant, right? But as you guys can see, we have bullish divergences, bearish divergences approaching this resistance. And also, if we go to the larger time frame, the reason I brought it in, I didn't bring it down to this low point of this week here is because this Corona crash, right? And because of how the channel formed structure with this high here. So I rather moved it with these, how it perfectly just rejects off these highs here. Remember beginning of the year, those guys of you that were in my group, or in the group, I said, guys, once we get up here, we're falling. I didn't think we were gonna fall all year, but okay, we fell all year. So what we have down here also, we have support, and then we broke through here but closed back above there. So I think we might get a push up, another push down to test this peak over here, the Corona high, break this bottom here, and then we could potentially see a pop up back to this high, right? Or break it, last push up, and then all hell breaks loose and maybe fall back down to this area. It's possible. So yeah, guys, that is my first webinar on the thingy, on the YouTubes. I hope you guys got some value here. I'll like I say, it's been a while since I did one of these, so yeah, I was a bit I am a bit rusty, but I'm gonna get into the flow, man. Like I say, what I will do is post. I think I might just start a Twitter channel, maybe even an Instagram channel, who knows, and then just post the stills there. But remember the confluences. Let me just go over it one last time for you guys before I go, since I have you guys here. Okay, we oversold, we have divergences, blah blah blah. I'm not going to go through that again right now. I want to go through these major support areas. Once again, 2008 financial crisis, that bottom, double bottom, support. Corona crash, support. We have this inner trend line where we also found support. Right? Start here. Support. 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 Right? Remember, this is the logarithmic chart. This is the regular chart. Support, support. Then we have the retrace from your COVID low to the rally where we peaked. We now had a 61.8%. You guys know this is the golden ratio, right? Hopefully we have a double bottom on the support, right? This is where I'm going to look for my first entries. Where I'm going to look for it. It's not financial advice. This is purely educational. I'm telling you guys what I see here. So if we form a double bottom there, let's say you're scared and you think, nah, this thing is going to fall through. Hey, it could, guys. It could, right? But let's now say, okay, you're going to wait now. It does bounce there. You could then wait for this break of this neckline. Then we now have a double bottom on major support in the golden ratio area, 61.8 retrace on the Fibonacci. A break of this major resistance, downward trend line, resistance, 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 and then a retest of that would then confirm, okay guys, not 100%, but the probability is very likely that we now have a bullish structure and we can now hold our trades for much longer. This whole year has just been scalping, day trading. Last 2 years we were holding, yes, nicely. Hundreds of thousands of pips. So yeah, that's how I see the market. That's what I'm looking for now, guys. I hope this brings value. and I hope that you guys can change your own lives and your family's lives the way I've been able to change mine. Okay guys, thanks for your time. I'll do some update videos during the week. I don't know if I'll do it every day. I think I'm gonna try to do it every day, because going over the markets like this, even though I'm explaining things to you guys, I'm helping explain things to myself as well, because this is something you continuously have to analyze, reanalyze, and you can get rusty. So yeah, one hand washes the other. Alright guys, thank you for your time, and don't forget, like the video, subscribe to the channel, share if you want to. I'm gonna put off the comments because not to be rude, but not interested in any input. I just want to share how I'm looking at it. Alright guys, thanks for your time, and I'll see you in a week.